Thanks for staying with us. So, Smart DNA is a leading DNA center in Lagos, has released a comprehensive 2024 report on DNA testing trends in Nigeria covering July 2023 to June 2024. This is about a year. According to the report, 27% of paternity tests conducted came back negative, indicating that more than 1 in 4 men tested are not the biological fathers of their children in question. Now, this has raised quite a bit of conversations. In addition to the report also reveals that she shed light on some societal dynamics and economic factors. So, in Lagos yesterday, over the weekend actually, it also showed a test in the surge of Japa. So many of these DNA tests came from those who are actually relocating. So they came to test because the embassies often demand that they ensure that the children who are emigrating are the biological children of the petitioners. So the report noted that a significant increase in DNA tests for immigration purposes, growing more than any other type test, as more Nigerians seek opportunities abroad. The trend also suggests that a growing number of parents with dual citizenship are processing paperwork for their children's immigration. On regional dominance, the report showed that Lagos dominated a reflection of the economic disparity. So, of all the data that was given, I think we're going to focus a bit more on the fact that 1 in 4 men tested for the DNA tested shows that they are not the biological father of their children. Now, as I said, this has raised quite a bit of concerns, conversations. I would like to hear your thoughts on it because Nigeria, many have described as a very religious country, a country where we're very, our sense of morality is fairly high compared to many other countries around the world. That's the perception people have. So when this happens, you begin to ask questions that how religious or how morally upright are we as a nation? Or is this just how the world, the life evolves and we just fail to acknowledge and accept these things happening? You can call us on 081 0764 1679 090 241 You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read the tweets. The reason why I started that way is because it's not the very first time we're hearing these things have been happening for gazillion years, where people are either swapping babies in hospitals or they're giving somebody else's child to another man. We know, but because there wasn't so much data then, now it looks like there's so many. Now we have data to actually measure, and it's looking like it's much more than we expect. 1 in 4. So if I count 4 men like this, there's a possibility that one of them is carrying a child that doesn't belong to him.
Aye.
How did that data come?
Maybe the first, but our own data come out. I just don't like the Nigerian morality compass measurement because it's not about, whether we're a morally right country. People like to say
we're religious.
Because we're a religious country. When this kind of tests come from here, people will question it. But you don't question it if it comes from somewhere else because they're not morally upright in those countries. So just put that out there. But there are several other factors that can, inform this kind of thing turning up. Just you mentioned baby swaps, all of that. Also, men refusing to admit that, they might have fertility problems and putting the bulk of it on women. This is not to defend against, immorality, but that is a major issue. Over the weekend, we discussed it, myself and my friends. Up until Monday morning, it was something that was featuring. When you go to fertility clinics, you see some women sitting by themselves. Who you want born the pikin for? Why are you sitting by yourself? You find out they're married, the pressure is on them, in-laws are on them, and Nigerian men still solve the problem of fertility by marrying plenty wives, as opposed to testing to see whether I might be the problem, as opposed to my wife being the problem. It's assumed women are the problem. You now force a woman to want to prove herself by dropping her moral standards. You force that. Some men will say, okay, I know I have a problem, but cover the secret. You get. And force a woman to go and seek a solution. One Alpha that I know. Alpha, with all the Arabic that full his mouth, abandoned his wife. All these years, this is going to over 10 years now, he's abandoned her. And we're having a conversation that, her rights in the other room is very important. You cannot claim to be married to her and abandon her for this long. They say, I've already told her to sort herself. Meaning is that if she, it means that if she comes home tomorrow, now this one will join the people and say, Nigerian women are immoral. This woman has been walking around like a stick. Frustrated. In the other room, you did not divorce her, you did not marry her. You did not let her know her fate. And I've told you, you to own up, bold. She said, no, she refused. She's staying in that situation, but she'll be helping herself, Abi. Abi, is that not the word? This is completely wrong. And we cannot face certain issues from a denial point of view and then come together tomorrow to join voice, to blame, to be giving data. So we need to...
Interesting angle. Thank you.
One, please.
For me, I think Nigeria is a religiously sinful country.
You described it very well.
We carry religion on our head. You will not expect some things, but you just see that at the end of the day, we are all humans, and these things happen. So for me, it's about owning what is happening, owning where you are in your marriage, in your relationship, in terms of paternity. Now, I also believe that a lot of men would have to start, facing the truth when it comes to conversations like this. Over the years, we've always complained. Anytime you are preaching in church, you are asking people to come out for blessing of the fruit of the womb. It's only women you see. We don't see people that need blessing for the fruit of the loin. We need to add that now. So if you know that you need the blessing, come out. If you know that you're going to have an arrangement with your family to see how they can help your case and cover your shame, that's also okay, right? But at the end of the day, you must know where you are. And also, for those women who are very good at mixing children, you know the way you do amalani, we do I think it's something that we need to call ourselves out on. Sometimes it's very painful when you hear personal stories or stories very close to you where this person has been clueless, has no idea. It's not that he was infertile, but he just has no idea that. In fact, there was a particular story close to me where he was the man's boss that was benching. Today is Tuesday. Okay, let's not go Thursday. That was helping his case. And then the 3 children belonging to, that he thought belonged to him were of his boss.
Oh my God.
Yes, 3 of them.
There was one photo DNA of one bank MD that time.
My sister.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, that's also a very similar story. And, it was very disheartening for the man to realize that. So all my life, we had no conversation of infertility. We had no conversation of any problem in the marriage. And you could do this much. That's the wickedness that I really do not want us to keep going for. So there are other excuses like you have mentioned where probably you have been seeking, nobody's helping, and you just need to prove yourself. We've had that cases. There was also a movie that I watched where this woman she had given birth to 1 child, and then the man insisted on another child, and it was not happening between them. So she had to go back. I think one of the producers made the movie, I watched it recently, had to go back and did somebody just to have a male child for this man. Only for the man to realize that even the first child that they had before was not his. It was from her boyfriend that he snatched her from. So what? So the wickedness of doing these things and, acting like it's not a problem till you have found out is what we should be targeting.
When a man cheats, we call him out. We make this whole fuss over, oh, men are cheats, men are this. But there are lots of women who are there being extremely wicked. So I excuse the excuses you gave, I understand. But there's some people who are just inherently wicked. So they are marrying somebody maybe because he has financial resources or maybe he's connected, and they don't have intention of actually having children for him. But they are still in love with somebody in the past, and they would rather have the children, and then maybe this person is one of those people that don't really pay attention much. So you take advantage of that, and then you have somebody else's child for him in hopes that your children can inherit this wealth. And I know there are a lot of wickedness out there. I mean, I used to be very biased when it comes to women issues, but sometimes when you hear these stories, it worries, it's quite worrisome.
I read a story. There was a story I read one time like that of a lady, she gave birth to 3 kids. There was just this pressure from the family. And the problem was the husband. The husband had problems, and she's been telling the husband, go to the hospital, go and find out what's wrong with you and everything. The husband refused. So there was pressure on her and everything, and she had to go out. She had to go out. She gave birth to 3 kids from outside for him. And then later on, he found out. When he found out, of course, it became a big problem. So sometimes the women are under pressure. And then under that pressure, they want to go out and,
Well, I need to ask a question. When you're under pressure, shouldn't you tell family members that
it's the family members that are putting that pressure on you.
Sometimes they don't.
I know if...
And to make a man go to the hospital to go and do that test, it has a lot to do with ego, men need to change, right? Yes, they need to change.
They need to start changing.
And sometimes there are mistakes in this DNA stuff, the test. So I think we need to do it more than maybe like 3 times
it's
to
money,
really get the... To really
it's
get
a lot.
the...
I have a DNA that is a subject of litigation, and the court is requesting we do it again. Everybody come back step, because before we do the first one, we drink Gary. But you know, there's a couple I know where the wife gets pregnant all the time, and she walks the walk alone. The guy is not just showing up. The doctors were saying to the girl, "You are fertile. Nothing is wrong with you. There's a quality of the products that you're giving. That's why your body is rejecting your baby's preterm." What she has gone through 6 times, the man has not gone through it.
Oh.
We are trying to have this conversation. You know the year. I mean, I've told the girl, I would not support helping yourself. But, you know, advice will be coming from quarters where we don't know of prove yourself. My point is, leave. And it's seeming like you're giving her the worst kind of advice. You're being wicked. Because my advice to any woman in such a pressure situation, come on. Let
me pause you for a second. Let me take Ade from London. Good morning, Ade, you're live. Ade, are you there?
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. You're live.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, very clearly.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my whole view about this issue is that there's no need to do DNA. All this DNA is a waste of time. If you have children, once you leave your will, you go and do your will, that once you go to the other side, that they should do DNA for all the children. If any one of them is not yours, you should send the woman out of your house, send all the children out of your house, and then give the property to your family. Simple. Oh, wow. So the one will be crying while you are gone, but it will be punished there for what she has done. That's it. You don't need any DNA. That's my whole view.
Thank you. What is
it? She said, if any woman gives birth, brings a child that's not your own.
He's very vengeful.
Yeah, you should send her out of your house.
No, don't send her. He say you should wait until you are dead.
Okay, then
do a will
property.
That when you are dead, they will do a DNA for all the children. Then if anyone is not your own, they should send the woman out. Without anything, and the only property goes to your family.
You know how we always, I mean, there's always this thing of emotional connection. So, I mean, I'm kind of taking the story to a different angle right now, where you've known a child all his life, all her life. You know, how do you detach yourself when you now find out that this child doesn't belong to you? That's another angle, because I remember I shared that story with my brother's friend who lives in South Africa. He used to live in the US, and he left him and his wife divorced. They had issues, and he got custody of the girls, and they moved to South Africa, and that's where they're living. It was, as they were growing up, he was suspecting, but he wasn't sure. Now, his wife had cheated on him. The reason why he divorced, his wife had cheated on him with his best friend. So he left them. So she now married his best friend. Now, as the children are growing, you know, I think they're going to the university or something, he realized that his children were looking like his best friend. But he just never really paid attention.
Best friend, Bikun.
Then eventually, after I think the kids are now like almost 30, now did a DNA test. Now find out he has raised 2 beautiful girls that aren't his. Now, so the girls obviously want to go to US to find with their father. But I mean, there's that detached now. I don't know the follow-up of the story. Maybe they're still connected, but that was the last I heard of the story. But how does he detach himself after 30 years?
You see why I understand the evil of Zina now better. You see that man, the injustice to him, mother herself cannot compare.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You understand? You know, there's a way it's described in the Quran. When a child, why the Quran insists that the child be called by their father's name, you're a representation of that, your father's presence. Then somebody now swaps it, the man not gets, but he's invested emotionally, financially in a child, and you know. Because our traditional thing is that women know these things. Even when you're raising the child, you'll be seeing certain things. Before the child reached 5 safe, that as a woman, you'll be able to say, because you know the people
you're mingling with.
Mingling is a better word. You know? And so, you know, the injustice of it is such a grievous thing. It's not a help yourself situation where, if a man can't have kids, there was a couple right after I had my first child who wanted to use the facility I used, and it was expensive. I forced them to use the government hospital here, a railway compound. They got baby. They have 2 daughters. So it's not like it's one big expensive.
Let me take this call from Victoria Island. Yetunde, you're live. Thanks for calling.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Sorry?
I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show. Sorry.
Thank you. Okay, let me quickly go right in. I'm really, really excited about this topic because this is currently something that I experience in my home. And it's so painful that a lot of times when there is an infertility issue in the family, people always think it is the woman who has the issue. They never think that it is the man, because it was so bad that even my parents, my mom in particular, was on my case. My in-laws were on my matter. They would send you a box of baby clothes. And I was without no child, and they were just sending me this. And I had to now go on my own to try to carry out fertility tests, because my husband wasn't willing to go. And I went with my money. I carried out all the 15 fertility tests. I was good. I was okay. And then years passed. I became very uncomfortable. And then one day, somehow, he willingly went with me. And we found out that it wasn't even on me. It was him. And for years, and you know the funny thing, they would expect you to keep it silent for them. Meanwhile, the guy, if it were the reverse case, they are very loud to announce, oh, it's the woman. But when it's the man, they want you to help them keep it silent. And then, in this case, we are trying to look for other options. But to be honest, it's a very painful situation. So when women do this, I'm not saying that I support what they do, but I can really understand where they're coming from. Sometimes they just want to keep their home, they just want to keep their family.
Thank you so much, Yesenia. This concept of keeping your home, I mean, I don't know, I just really get...
Okay, so for me, sometimes I usually think that this DNA thing, for me, in my own opinion, I don't think is really that... I don't want to say necessary. I don't want to say necessary because at some point...
saying necessary.
Yeah, because I don't want to just say, because, okay, in Hausa, there's something they say, meaning that suspicion is a sin, even if it is true. Even if it is true. So for you to sit down and now start suspecting and saying that these children are not my own, and then I'm going to go and do a DNA test. So what if you do, if you now go and do the DNA test and the result comes out, and it comes out that they are all yours, the wife, won't she feel bad?
So let me put that.
You understand? That the wife will feel bad. And I'm telling you, that marriage will
defame a person. So I might suspect that BC does not like me. You know, I share it with Ramatu. Ramatu doesn't know BC, but I've damaged BC.
Okay.
That's the kind of suspicion. But if you have an inkling, you can do investigations. It is the saying of the prophet that you do investigation, you consult. So if something is on your mind, you do investigation, you also consult. It's just that you see something wrong, you see it is wrong.
That
you can't help it.
Can be harmful to you because sometimes you can get the results, and when you get the results and it's not what it is, you can commit suicide, you can get into depression. So many things can happen to you. So why do you even want to know?
You know, some men will say, I suspect my wife. That, and you take on a DNA just because you suspect your wife. Not that you suspect your children. I'm suspecting my wife, and then you damage your wife.
Moves are not clear.
And you damage your wife. Because that's not true. There it is in the sin, not in the thoughts. It's in the action that follows it, the damage. That's the sin.
Yeah, so we've always had this. It's not new in the African culture. It was somehow allowed. Faces were turned to the other corner. If you go deep into your family's history, there's always one brother that does not really look like, you know, the other brothers in that house. And the fathers always did suspect that this one no be really my own. But just because of the way the African culture was, most of the time, any woman who gives birth in your home that is married to you, somehow everything that comes from her becomes yours. So we accepted this thing. Now, why the noise is plenty? It's not like it's new or it's just happening today. We've had children of 30 years, 40 years that were mixed too. So it's happening now because a lot of people are trying to travel. And for that, and it's happening more in the cities. If you check the statistics that was given, mostly in Lagos, where there's access to hospitals that can do some of this DNA. If we take it back into the other states, we will be shocked that this data is nothing.
They won't even patronize. They won't even have, nobody will spend that kind of money.
No. They may spend it. They may not have the facilities to do it. So the point is, in our African culture, somehow it is one of these things one of the things that happen that is not so terrible. You have not killed somebody. No, if you have somebody who's forgiving, somebody who suspects and does not decide. If you're, for instance, if you're not traveling, you have no business going to do a DNA to find out if this person is looking different and all of that. It's because there's necessity for people that want to go, and that's why they are catching all of these bullets thrown at them. Now, what we can only advise is for the new wives, you know, if they don't bond, they don't bond. If they don't mix, they don't mix. There's nothing you can do about it. But for the new wives, please, the conversations that we didn't have, okay, not me, maybe my generation, former generation didn't have with their partners out of fear, out of patriarchy, you know, some of the things that they swallowed, all the pressure that they took by themselves, you know, just trying to keep their home. We have an opportunity to have those conversations now. We have an opportunity to be an open book with your partner. Know what you're getting into. Brother, you're not delivering, no. How do we help ourselves? Do we dissolve this marriage or do I help you? Have that conversation. So it's not a case of... Help? No, it could help. There are families that actually know. There's a story I heard recently. This particular family knew that their son was impotent. They knew. And they wanted him to marry because he was the first and only son. They wanted him to marry, so they got a wife for him. And they told the wife up front that this pikin no fit do anything. No, we noticed from small, we don't carry and go hospital. We checked everything and all of that. You will have to go outside and help us to cover our shame. It was a conversation they had with her. Guess what? She said, okay. Yes, they're married today. It was a conversation. So not everybody... Full disclosure. Yeah, not everybody will say, I can't deal with this and all of that.
Let me take this call. Samson from Ibutimeta. Thanks for calling. Good morning, Samson. You're live.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, my own perspective on that conversation regarding the DNA test. What I think about it is, I'm a Yoruba man. In Yoruba, there is something one proverb said, are you getting me that? All the child that has that bastard, they are not a bastard. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
So I believe the most important thing is between the wife and the husband. Because Yoruba said any woman knows the right man that owns the pregnancy.
Some know.
But I can say it's not this generation now. Because any woman that doesn't have one man, that is not a woman, that is clapping, definitely, if you can't say this is the particular person that has the pregnancy. Are you getting me? But if there can be a love, a good relationship between the husband and wife, I don't think this DNA thing or the thing is necessary.
You know, the fact that the thinking that, oh, you know how Nigerians say, every man cheats, or most men are, what's that thing they say? Almost are polygamous in nature, you know? So it has become a norm to accept that, oh, there's a possibility that if you count 5 men, 4 are cheating. Now there's new data saying if we count 4 men, 4 men, there's 1 woman that has...
One is cheating. If you count now.
Okay, if you count 4 women, one has not... did not deliver your own children to you. Yes. And now, if we keep allowing that trend, it might become commonplace. So what do we do to stop this?
I wanted to respond to what Bisi said. So, you know, we have the dishonorable disclosure, which is go and find Bikin come. We don't get, we can't produce here. And the woman will do the dishonorable thing. We had our traditional ways, which is, you know, especially in the East, where a man is known to have tried with maybe his first, second marriage. They will say, don't worry. Maybe it's the woman who can't have kids. They'll bring one person to come and born for her and give her. Open.
Yeah.
Men too can say, okay, I can't have, but I see this woman who's been raped, who is pregnated by somebody she cannot find. I want the child. They do openly. And the community will know the history. They will take the child. There's nothing to hide. We had our ways. We had accepted. That's my point. We're doing it. In Ijebu, they will say, you've been trying with this man. No, you need to leave him and go and try somewhere else. So when they establish that the woman is fertile, it's the man that is not. The man is helping himself one way or the other. You will just see him and a woman with a child. But they were openly addressing the issue as opposed to the secrecy we see everywhere today. We had it. These are old ways of handling it that we have. So a woman who goes out and comes back and says, no, I want to leave. Women in certain areas in the Southwest also, they cross from one room to one room. Do naming here, go back here.
Yeah, I heard that. It was crazy.
So I have just played away here and I missed my period. For now, I want to be where I missed it.
The period.
The person that lets me miss should be feeding me. She'll do there 9 months, she'll born, she'll do naming there. Then she'll really baby. Because it's likely your own and move back. In the same building.
Original, yes.
Yeah, in the same building. So they were openly talked about, openly accepted ways, as opposed to this, our secrecy.
Yes,
so where did the secrecy come in? Is it like when we allowed...
I'm surprised that you
complicated.
I was a teeny tiny girl hearing all those gossips.
Let me take...
pointing to Atiyadagbaja that this is how the baby came.
Let me take James from First Stack. Thanks for calling. Wrapping up on this. Comments on social media. Good morning, James. You're live.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning, sir.
First-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
Take your flowers.
Go ahead, Mr. James.
Finish, you not talk again.
I'm a first-time caller. I need that calling.
Yes.
Getting people is like going to heaven.
No, sorry about that. Go ahead.
I thank God I'm able to get you today.
Yes, we're happy to have you.
What we are discussing is so good. But we should know one thing about it, that God is there. Any woman that does that and the husband that is abused her, the man should forgive her. Because the word, God forgave us of our sins. Why can't we forget our fellow human beings? So, my name is not James, so it's from the man after God's house.
Okay.
David.
Oh, David.
David, okay. Thank you, Mr. David.
I want to suggest something, please.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Please, should you put up something like a day we will call for what we want to discuss?
Okay.
Okay.
On the air, a day, we will mention what we want to discuss.
Do you have anything in mind, Mr. David? Do you have anything in mind today? Do you have anything in mind?
NEPA.
NEPA. Okay.
Okay.
And this network people.
Network.
Telecommunications. Yes. Okay.
So think about NEPA. They are charging. And the network people.
Issues.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mr. David. The feedback is taken, and we'll definitely discuss those things. Okay, so back, the reason why this paternity is important, because as we said earlier, we don't usually get a lot of data. And when this data comes, it's always good for us to review it and understand it. And it's important for us to also find a way to mitigate this thing from this trend. How do we mitigate this trend from happening? And it's quite painful that a lot of people are going through this and they do it in secrecy. Yeah. You know, they are forced to. And the truth is that you shouldn't live life like that, because those are the kind of things that stays in your heart, that causes problems. You live it in you because you know that this child that I'm carrying is this. You know, when would he find out what's going to happen? What, you know, you'll be preempting the worst when you should really release your heart to say, we had to do this. So how do we stop this secrecy? What can we do to let society, first of all, stop it? Because it's wrong. It has to stop. But when it happens, why are we so scared to have a conversation around it all?
For the new generation that we have, the crop of children we have, they are different and they are also better in terms of the ability to express what they feel, what they think, how they see life. They are very vocal in terms of expressing. And I will not see much of this problem with them. We came from a closed-mouth generation where the woman isn't supposed to speak certain things or say things in a certain way. Patriarchy was just all over, and women had to find manipulating tools to be able to survive the harsh patriarchy that they found themselves. And the gatekeepers of the patriarchy also were the women, the the mother-in-laws, the sister-in-laws, you know, the people who were enforcing and everything. So it was a bit more dicey for the woman to find her feet. If you are blessed to get into a marriage and get pregnant very fast, hallelujah. Not everybody went through that experience. Some people were not that blessed to have that. And so some of these experiences, but with this new generation, the only thing we can just keep telling them is be as expressive. It's okay to be expressive. We shouldn't try to shut them down the way our mothers were shut down or shut up, and we ourselves, but now they can come out and when you listen to them, actually, the dynamics of marriage is changing in their conversations. Yeah. They don't want to have this traditional, I've spoken to a lot of young girls who say, I don't want to get married, I just want to have a partner. We can now come together and decide to have 1 or 2 children and raise them. Who am I to say that's the wrong thing to do? I don't know. We have to wrap up on this, but I think really in a nutshell, let me end with Engineer Tunji's summation. He always sends me, Engineer Ajibola Tijani, PhD, he always sends me his comments. He says that, Muriel, this topic is a serious one and the consequence has a greater impact in societies. If there is any issue about fertility, couples can discuss it and agree on the way forward. Infidelity comes with a great price, including external pains of victims. It is like ulcer of the heart, and it's difficult to heal. Childlessness is not a sin, nor is it a crime. It is not for everyone that will give birth to a child. Some people will need to legally adopt children from orphanages and nurture them as their own. These orphans are not meant to live in orphanages for the rest of their lives. They need to be cuddled and nurtured by kind-hearted Nigerians. So there are people who met their untimely death from their own children who might wish they never had one. So this report is so damning and it falls for a sober reflection. So paternity fraud, obviously, in Nigeria. Can we build on these orphanages? So the rule to adopting through orphanages is so strict. We have our people buying kids in some places. Some people are in this underground business of selling babies, you know, and young girls doing underground. Can we open up adoption? Can we open up IVF? Can we open up, you know, medical solutions to having children? It's important that these are the new conversations, Well, you know, through this DNA thing, most of the time it's coming from the fact that people are thinking that the woman is promiscuous, infidelity point of view. And from that point, we can also say that some of the women are neglected emotionally. And so they seek those kind of, you know, attention outside as well. There are some people that will marry and then their wives, they don't even sleep with their wives. They will abandon their wives for years. And they are outside. So sometimes the wife, So the Let me take this call. Francis from Benin.
Hello.
Our final call. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Women have not called today at all. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, Mama. Yeah, people, you are discussing a very good and important issue to the nation or even to each family. The problem we are facing today in this country is that we try to throw out our tradition and embrace all that is foreign. Africa has a way of solving all the problems within themselves. Those people vote for DNA and DNA, actually, they have money, but there's an open way to it. Many men know that cannot perform, but they have a wife. Is our openness open to the family or open to the girl before the or after marriage? That is it. It's this very thing that is causing everything.
Thank you, Mr. Francis. I didn't hear most of what he said.
It wasn't clear.
It wasn't very clear from him, but maybe our viewers heard him. But I think it was just that there should be full disclosure. But I think we have to wrap up on this. Any comments for a wrap up?
Yes, I have 3 comments here. Hafsa says it's possible for a man not to be a biological father, but rarely for a woman not to be a biological mother. Mosquitoes always cause malaria, but will not cause typhoid. It is what it is. Yemi C says, I'm a fertility nurse consultant and work in the UK for over 25 years. I have witnessed a lot of Nigerian couples with women mostly blamed for infertility. Men have a lot of issues which they do not talk about. And Aisha says, as a solution to this problem, the orphanage home should do more by making child adoption easier and less expensive for willing couples, just like
That's all we can take on this topic. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.